Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the next virtual Dalcroze meetup. My name is Stephen Neely. I'm your co-host for the meetup, and my dear friend Veronica Bileski is here with me. And we are just thrilled to get a nice crowd together, and we've got a really interesting agenda planned for today. I think we should start, though, with our little breakout rooms like we do. If you've been to a meetup before, you know that we're just going to ask you to introduce yourself and where are you located and who do you teach? So if you would, let me quickly pull together. It looks like we can do 2 rooms here. And again, when you meet your people in the little room, can you tell them your name, where are you located, and who do you teach? You have 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. Restart the. We are back. We got a chance to say hi to each other for a little bit. Always smiles on the return. We have a couple announcements as we go. Veronica, do you want to take the first one?
Yeah. I think there's only one more meetup this calendar year, which is in November. Right, Stephen?
That sounds right. Tonight is meetup
So
number.
anyways, we have one more scheduled and then the rest will be announced soon. But if you just check that calendar page that I've linked there, that's where you can find all the information. And then we have one more scheduled masterclass this calendar year with Bethan Hebron-James. And Stephen, maybe you could share a little bit about Bethan.
Yeah, Bethan is just a wonderful colleague. She's a longtime Dalcroze expert or enthusiast. I mean, for many, many years, I met her first in Geneva, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. Like, it's been a long time. She's spent a lot of her adult life doing advanced study. She lives in Wales. And if you ask her the right way, she'll speak and sing in Gaelic for you, which is like crazy. If you've never heard Gaelic, it's like such a wild language to my ear. And so one of the first times I ever met her, she sang some folk song in Gaelic, and I was like, what is happening? So I don't know that she's going to sing in Gaelic for us, but she's a really interesting person, really super nice and very smart and very musical. I think she plays in addition to piano and all, I think she plays the violin, maybe, and I think we're going to get a little bit of some hints of that in her master class. So if you've not had a chance to meet or to work with Bethan, I really think will be to everybody's benefit. You should definitely try to get there, and we hope to see everyone at it. So those are the last 2 things of this calendar year, and we are already nearly able to announce the new season. We've got, we believe we'll have 4 master classes and a nice slew of meetups like tonight. So please subscribe to the calendar and subscribe to the mailing list, and we'll keep everybody in the know. All right, tonight, Veronica,
you want to do that? I had the pleasure of meeting Nomali a couple times on Zoom already, and we were just talking about kind of connections we had as teachers and about the VDM and her interest in learning more about it and how it connects to her work. And we invited her to come share, and she has so much to share that we just asked her if she would talk to us for about 20 minutes and just share a couple ideas, and then we can have our discussion as usual. So Nomali, I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of what brought you to the VDM if you like, or you can just jump right into your presentation. And thank you so much for coming here to share.
Okay, well, thank you so much for inviting me. The Virtual Dalcroze Society has been a lifesaver. I missed a conference, right, which I should have attended for my institution. And I was so jealous of all they were doing. I said, well, I need to look up and find some things on Dalcroze for myself. And I booked upon the Virtual Dalcroze Society, and I received really assistance to attend certain lessons and watch master classes. And I think it's just a great connection with us in Jamaica because we're such kinesthetic learners, so I want to know more about Dalcroze and how it can be integrated. So I think Veronica just wanted me to share a little bit on how I have been using it in my practice so far. And so I'll be sharing that. Oh, By the way, I teach at Teachers College in Jamaica, the Michael University College. So I teach teachers, and my main instrument is voice, but I play piano as well as steel pan and recorder and drum. You know, music teachers do a little of everything. You know how it goes. All right, so happy to be here. So let's see now if I can open up my, would you believe it's not opening? All right, so I'm just going to share on a few things. Yeah, here it is. All right, so this is a Rasta song, and many of you might have heard about the Rastas. I mean, they have really popularized reggae all over the world. And of course, you would have heard of Bob Marley. But you know, this is a movement that really took off in the 1930s in Jamaica, and has been a movement that has been very interested in social consciousness with a spiritual dimension, but all of the spiritual side of the rest of our religious practices, Rasta has looked down on that, but it has focused on the element of equality and you know, just the welfare, especially of the Black community. All right, so this is one of their songs. If you're seeing the screen, this song is speaking about Mount Zion, which is like a heaven to the Rastafarians, or definitely a place of a divine place of perfection. Okay, and if you're seeing my hands, because I've turned off, tell me if you're seeing my hands a little bit. Are you?
Yes, yes, we can see your hands.
If you can just clear your tables a little bit, clear your table wherever you are, and just cup your hands like this. And if you had a drum, you'd put it in the middle of your drum, and you would, this is Rasta, 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 okay? That's a rhythm that if you can, you just keep with your hands. And I'll sing this song for you and just hope that you can sing along with me. Holy Mount Zion, Holy Mount Zion, holy, 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 holy Mount Zion. Sing again, Holy Mount Zion, Holy Mount Zion, holy, 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 holy Mount Zion. Anybody getting it? All right, we're gonna sing it one more time. Let's go. Holy Mount Zion, Holy Mount Zion, holy, 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 holy Mount Zion. So the Rasta rhythm is one of the first rhythms I teach to my students. And it has where goes Rasta, tippy tippy Rasta, we clap with it Rasta, tippy tippy Rasta, tang Rasta, and they pose, Rasta, tippy tippy Rasta. And you know what I mean? And they do triples Rasta, triplet, Rasta, tippy Rasta, chang, Rasta, triplet, Rasta, tippy Rasta, chang. And so I do this with, like, you know, beginning teachers, well, not teachers who have just started the program. And so they're experiencing some of these rhythms that they, you know, in Jamaica, we don't use scores a lot. So we're playing these rhythms, we don't know what they are. So they're playing, but I'm using the words, triplet, 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 Rasta, tippy Rasta, chang, right? And I'm doing that. And so we learn the Rasta rhythm, and through the Rasta rhythm, I introduce the quavers, I introduce the semi-quaver, that's the licky licky, right? We have an utterance pattern that we use in Jamaica. So the quavers are dumpling, and the semiquavers licky licky. So eventually I will ask them to tell me what rhythms am I using, because I would have been exposing them to the quavers and the crotchets and the semiquavers separately. And then I'd bring and would have been learning this song along with the Rasta rhythm separately. And then at a point I'd bring it together and say, okay, what rhythms are we using? Okay, and so we'd have, this is licky licky Rasta, chain, Rasta licky licky, licky licky, that's what we just used to represent the semiquavers. And then the triplet, they would have been doing that, okay? So this is one thing I found really lovely. And actually a nicer version of this song that I sing is actually Rasta man live among Zion. Rasta man live among Zion. Oh, dio, 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 among Zion. And then Rasta, tiki tiki Rasta cap, and they do that in between. Okay. So they experience the rhythms with their hands. And so when it's easier for them to make the connection after. Okay, so this is a beautiful song. And as you can see too, there are a lot of other musical things happening with the melody. You see where the first line starts on the do, then it goes to the mi, then it goes to the so, and then it descends. So in terms of melodic contour, there are a lot of things that this melody can teach as well. Okay, so this is a song I always teach when I'm just starting off and teaching them the Rasta rhythm and the variations of the Rasta rhythm. So here is another song, B5, composed by Marcia Ashley. Marcia Ashley is actually my mom. She remarried, that's why she's Ashley. And she's a music educator, and I worked with her for many years as a child, teaching with her. I think she has her own approach, but I think she used Orff a lot. We use xylophones and drama and plays. And she, in teaching herself, she taught music teachers as well. And she said she just stood in front of them one day with the score and everything and realized it's going to take too long for them to learn this way. And so she used a whole nother technique, an oral technique to teach them. And she developed a whole lot of songs using, of course, BAGCD that use rhythms from our country. So of course, this song you hear, you can see the hemiola patterns, or the combination of compound time and simple time that's common in our music. This is, and we use words, we use pick up the ruler, pick up the ruler, pick up the ruler now, right? Okay, to help them. But this is, so this song uses BAG. It uses rhythms that Jamaicans love. This last rhythm starting at bar 5, come here now, here now. That's a classic dancehall rhythm for any of you who have ever heard dancehall. And then it goes back to the pick up. So instead of the usual BAG songs, which are, the rhythms are sort of boring for us, you use it. But then the thing is, this is a song that would be taught by ear. They would not see this notation. As you can imagine, this notation would be a little complex for a beginner. So when I'm teaching, and this is something I got from my mother, there are a whole set of songs that students learn by ear. And then there are a whole nother set of songs they learn from reading. The reading songs are better sequenced in terms of using crotchets and then minims and so on. But then the songs by ear now are using complex rhythm patterns that we in Jamaica can really appreciate. Okay. And so how I have found to just, I did not do this on purpose at the time. I was just doing it to help them to get the rhythms, for them to do it with their bodies. So B was a clap, A was on their laps, and G was stamping. So I think that's a bit of Dalcroze there. I'm not sure. I didn't think of Dalcroze when I was doing it. But in terms of you feeling the rhythm in your body. And so what I would often do with students is have them dance it first, and then play it. They would have, of course, learned the notes BAG. Many times I would teach this to students in the very first class of recorder, maybe the second class. after I would have taught them another song, BAG, which is slower, I would do this one. And surprisingly, of course, they learn it very quickly and they love the rhythms. And so this class you're going to see is a class of special education teachers at the MICO who have to do a semester of music, and they learn the recorder. And this is their, I think it's their second recorder class. And this is them actually doing the movement and then doing it on the recorder. Okay, so I'm going to play that from you. Now I'm not seeing your faces. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Thumbs up, smiles. Yes. We are.
Okay, great. So let's listen to this now. So this is in one of the classroom that I teach in, and these are some students who come on Thursday mornings. Hold on, you know what? I'm not sure if I shared with audio, so let me stop. Stop there. Right there. Let's start with the movements first. Let's go. Okay. All right. So you can see from that, you know, many of them are very excited to actually start playing so quickly. So I mean, by this first class, they have 2 songs that they can play. And then they just love it because they just keep learning so much different music. And then after a while, I start giving them pieces by reading, but only after they have begun to feel very comfortable with the instrument, with the getting a beautiful tone, with the fingering, with holding it. And then after that, they start reading. So I don't introduce them together. So, okay, that's one way I have been sort of using it. And then now this is another song, which I just love when I teach. I always do this with them because a lot of my students, the ones, some are going to teach music, but like these, they're primary ed students and special education students who are just going to probably integrate music. And so this is a song called Kalam Fundawa. Fundawa. Now, we have a lot of different persons in our community. The Indians say they gave us for him. So call him Fundawa, and Fundawa is just a name for stupid, you know, just not thinking, you know. So this is a Jamaican to it, and I have a English possible alternative, and this goes, how one cousin up a sea for a town, cheers, boy, cheers. No, it's actually a ring game. So you stand in a circle, everyone is in a circle, and as you can see, it's call and response. And they're clapping, they're keeping the steady pulse while singing. And the teacher leads it and they would answer, you know, the response. So, how one calls on a passy for town, cheers, boy, cheers. How one calls on a passy for town, cheers, boy, cheers. Take him and take out, throw it through the window. Gala where you call Kalam Fundawa. Gala where you call Kalam Fundawa. Now, this is a fun part, especially when they want to teach body parts. They start actually, like if they say, put your hand in there, you put your hand in there, put your shoulder in there. And if you put your back, put your back in there, you know. And then when you say everybody in there, they go back to back. Everybody in the Kalam Fundawa, everybody in the Kalam Fundawa. Okay, so obviously right away you can see how useful that is for the primary class. So they're using their bodies, they can do body parts. a possible English version. Have a cousin from Delaware, cheers, boy, cheers. And have one cousin from Delaware, cheers, boy, cheers. Took my auntie coat, throw it to the window. Girl, what would you call him? Call him Fundawa. Girl, what would you call him? Call him Fundawa. Put in your hand, call him Fundawa. Put in your elbow, call him Fundawa. Put in your knees, call him Fundawa. And you put in different body parts. So I think this, obviously this has so many things, and then I will play drum with them and they're dancing and doing it and they're learning about call and response. So possible Dalcroze, if you're in a circle with your students, I was thinking there are some things you could do. For example, put in your hand, you could give different words or different body parts to students and have them try to put in that body part, but in time. So put in your elbow or put in your foot. You understand? They each have different words that they have to try and put it in. There's also a little game we learned from Anthony Molinaro, who did class recently, I think could fit in here. Notice the call, do, mi, do, la, so, do, mi, do, la, so, and there to answer, call him Fundawa. Now you could have something where if the person calling says any other variation, instead of do, mi, do, la, so, if they go, so it's saying, put your hand in the kalam fundawa, but if I go, put your hand in there, or put your hand in there, whatever, if you do something different, they shouldn't answer you, they should go, put your hand in there, put your hand in there. Anything different from put your hand in there, so that they have to listen and hear, okay, you've done something different. I'm not answering that one. Kalam Fundawa, okay? So obviously there are a ton of other things you could do, and I just love this song. So if we could sing it one more time, because I'm sure my time is up. But it goes, have a call in, you want to sing it in English or in Jamaican?
I want to hear the
Okay. How one cousin up a sea for town, cheers, boy, cheers, and keeping the pulse. How one cousin up a sea for town, cheers, boy, cheers. Take him manticoat, oh, you dramatize this. Take him manticoat, throw it through the window. Gala, what you call him fundawa. Boy, what you call him fundawa. Put your hand in the kalam fundawa. Put your elbow in the kalam fundawa. Put your chest in the kalam fundawa, put your head in the kalam. Then when you want to end, everybody in there, and they go back to back. Everybody in the kalam fundawa, everybody in the kalam fundawa, everybody in the kalam fundawa, everybody in the kalam fundawa. Yeah, so I love this song, and of course my students end up loving it too. So I think that's all I can share in this time.
Thank you so much, Namali.
Man, I think we need to start a VDM. I don't know, what would it mean that we go visit places? I want to come. I want to come hang out with Namali for a little bit. That was really wonderful. So much energy, and so much joy in what you're doing. I mean, it seems like there's no way to contain that. Really, just lovely. Well, we have a nice small crowd, but it's a good crowd, and we've got some nice things going. It's the chance where we sort of ask some questions or make some comments, and Francoise has got a hand up.
Hi, Namali, it's really nice. Thank you very much. Could you please just sing what you sang now? I'm just writing down the melody because maybe, I don't know if you have the score. Could you just re-sing this song just to help us fill in our sheet?
Sure. Guess what? Would you believe I have a score, but it's totally different from what I sing. So I didn't bother to use it. It has the same rhythm, but different. You know how it goes. So I'll sing this one for you. Ready?
Okay.
How one cousin down a sea for town, cheers, boy, cheers. How one cousin down a sea for town, cheers, boy, cheers. Take him and Tico, throw it through the window. Galawaya kalam, kalam fundawa. Galawaya kalam fundawa. Put your hand in the kalam fundawa. Put your foot in the kalam fundawa. Everybody in the kalam fundawa.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Very
please
much.
send that to me. Whatever you did, I would love to have it.
Yeah. Dee-da-da-dee-da. Yes, maybe I can invent something if it's not exactly.
Okay.
Well, and we'll have the
That's-
recording up, so we can always go back on YouTube because
Oh, that's true. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have the recording up in the next day or so.
Good. Good.
Good.
That's so nice.
Other comments or questions to get us started or to
I
extend?
have something about.
Go ahead, Veronica.
Okay, and then Danielle, I think I have to. I was thinking about the BAG recorder song, and I'm just starting some kids on this little plastic toot flute. I think I have one here. It's very cute, and it's like before they can be trusted with their metal flute, they get this little thing, right? And it has this recorder mouthpiece, so we can work on all our posture. So I was just thinking, like, this song, it doesn't require so much finger agility, but it requires like your tongue to go toot toot toot, right? But then I was like, oh, and then I can teach it to the little pianists as well. But actually, I think it's much harder on piano because of all the repeated notes. Da 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 da. And it's actually hard for them to track how many B's do you need before you move on to the A. And so I just, as I was watching the video of your recorder players, I realized the repeated notes. Because, you know, like hot cross buns is equally easy, I would say, on recorder and piano. But I just realized that your song might be harder on the piano than on the flute.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely not one of the first songs I teach on the piano.
Yeah.
But and the whole thing of getting the numbers, because it's called B5, because it's 5/5. But that's why we do it on the body. Because if they feel it in their bodies, B B B B
Oh,
B
there's
A
five
A
B's.
A A A G G G G G B. Once they do it with their bodies, I mean we dance that a couple times and they enjoy that. And once they do that, then it's not as hard for them to,
Yeah.
you know, B. They're just, you know, singing what they remember.
Yeah.
So that it is, once they start counting, it is too hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No.
Mhm.
So yeah. But the body makes it much easier. But yes, it gets their tongue going.
Mhm.
But trust me, it's the second song I teach on recorder, even for little kids.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they get it. But again, because we love those rhythms so much, I don't know if in your culture they would love those rhythms as
Well, you
much.
know, I don't know that they could do all of them in the first lesson, but so many of those rhythms is what we hear in pop music. But then all of the music that we teach them is like from this Western classical tradition. It's very square. Syncopation is hardly ever there until much later. So I have found that my students are quite good at playing syncopated rhythms once, like,
Once
because
you,
they hear them all
okay.
the time in on
Okay.
music.
And so that is why we have found we have a totally different repertoire. Songs by ear, songs by reading.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make much educational sense to start
Right.
giving these pieces scored. And what
Right.
would happen in our culture is that we don't get to play all these exciting pieces until we're more advanced because we can't read them, but we can play them by ear.
Yeah.
So they have a set of a repertoire by ear and a repertoire by reading, and they're separate. And so one is more rhythmically complex, the other is straighter. Yeah, so that work. And I do that with piano as well. So they learn a lot of folk songs by ear, and then they do the other things. So they can still have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Danielle, did you have a hand up?
Yes, and in the end, they have quite a lot of repertoire with all what you're just proposing. That's really nice.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
I would have a request. I don't know whether anybody's interested, but at the very beginning, you started just by doing some percussion on your table, but your
yes.
screen, your camera was not totally on your hands.
Oh.
Would that be possible just to redo that, but you really to show your hands better? Yes, when you do the first, you remember? Yes.
Okay, so for our drum, we use conga drum, but in our technique, we have bass, open, close, and tip. So this one uses bass and tip, and we're going rasta. We cup our hands and go in the middle of the drum. We're going rasta, rasta. So that's a basic thing. And then I would have them clap and go rasta, clap, rasta, clap. Yeah. And then I would have them do a pose, pose, rasta, pose. And then they would go rasta, cheng, rasta, cheng. And then I would put in the rasta, tippy, tippy, rasta, rest. Rasta, tippy, tippy, rasta, rest. Then rasta, tippy, tippy, rasta, clap. Rasta, tippy, tippy, rasta, clap. And then finally, rasta, triple, rasta. Licky, rasta, cheng, rasta, triple, rasta. Licky, right. Right. So for rasta, it's really 3 drums, but one of our folk educators put it onto 1 drum so it can be played. And so gradually, I wouldn't do all of these with them, but gradually get them up to doing that whole sequence. And the main thing is the utterance patterns, because once they have the utterance pattern, they can play anything, no matter how complex it is. We had some breaks. There was a break called the tambo break, which Marjorie Wiley, a folk educator, she notated it. And trust me, everybody was tearing their hair out trying to learn this break. And then my mom, Marcia, actually just came up with an utterance pattern. Hurry, 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 if you take off the pot. Hurry, 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 if you take off the pot. Hurry, 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 if you take off, take off the pot before it bun. No make it bun, quick. Okay, then now everyone knows it. Everyone knows it, like it's so common. So that's one of my main teaching strategies. I'm like, listen, guys, don't worry, with just get an utterance pattern. No matter how rhythmically complex it is, once they have words to put to it, it's like so easy.
Yeah, I think we have I bet a lot of us have similar experiences with the difference between rote reading and, or rather rote learning and learning by, by sight or being, by reading, and the idea of matching syllables and sort of fitting things up. We've said for years, the littlest kids can do the wackiest rhythms and the craziest meters, and they don't care if it's in 5 or if it's in 13 or whatever. Just tell them what it is, and they'll pick those up very quickly. And it's only as we get into, and a lot of sort of in the States, and I'm sure a lot of other places, that are working toward that sort of reading Western canon. Once you get enough education in that, then all of a sudden, all that easy stuff all of a sudden seems kind of hard. That is those more rhythmically complex things that we could have been training by ear. And so finding that balance, I love the way that you're describing that you are having some room for both, but it seems as though the emphasis or the priority is really on the joy and the participation, which I just am so happy to see.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful reminder for all of us.
Yeah. They have to the experience before the explanation. They have to experience it, So of course it's difficult, because I know, like in Jamaica, we have large class sizes in the secondary level, maybe sometimes 40, 50 kids in a class, and music classes like that's terrible. Sometimes they break them up, but many times they're large. So we're always trying to find ingenious ways to still experience music. So they can drum on their desks,
yeah.
And have instruments. And then like if they're drumming, then they stop and they take up shakers and they shake, and then they put the shakers down and they pick up wood sticks, but it's like 50 of them. But shakers can be made, wood blocks, wood can be made, and then they can play these rhythms. And then using the utterance patterns that we have developed, yam, dumpling, licky, licky, all of that, which might not be educationally sound all the time, but they can read the pattern. So but it's so much easier to just do theory.
Well,
a lot of teachers fall into that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think it's important that we all take some time to think, well, why are we here? Like, what are we actually working toward? And so, and it's so easy to sometimes get upside down on that, I think. And so we have the conversation, and I get to teach Dalcroze pedagogy every other semester, and we always take a fair bit of time to say, well, you could do X, Y, and Z, but is that really what your students are headed, or what they need, or what they want, or not what they want, but what they need, like where they're directed. So is it important that we say quavers and semiquavers? Like, is it necessary for their music education that it gets on a chalkboard at some point? And the answer in my class is, well, no, it's not always necessary. Who are these students? What are they doing? What are their next steps? What are the future opportunities? What are we trying to do right now? And if the main thing we're trying to do is to make them love music, have some kind of a positive social experience, be excited enough to maybe want to go hunt out more, maybe we get to some of that theory stuff, and maybe we never get to it, and it's perfectly fine. Danielle and I were just barely starting to talk about what it means to work with older aged students, students that are maybe in their 80s, or I think Danielle has a student right now in their 90s. And we think, well, what, does it really matter that we teach them to take rhythmic dictation, or that they get their solfege, on syllables just right? Like, I'm not sure that would have to matter at all in that case. Instead, maybe it's about memory, maybe it's about confidence, maybe it's about balance, maybe it's about just having a rewarding interaction with somebody, and just sort of feeling seen. And so, Nomali, can you tell us again, your students are teachers, that is, young teachers who are being taught to be teachers, is that correct?
Okay, right. So there are two sets of classes I teach. I have students who are training for the secondary classroom, and that's a degree program. And then we have students in the college who are going to teach early childhood, primary, or special education. And they have to do a semester of music. It's changing now. They're going to have music specialists, but right now in Jamaica, at those levels, the class teacher teaches music.
Yeah.
Although some schools will hire, many schools hire a music teacher, but it's part of their program, to do a semester of music. So, and of course, those classes are fun to teach because, primary ed our teachers are just awesome. They're just the best. I don't know. They're so full of life. I always tell them, please come and do my other classes. But I agree with you because, we always speak about that aesthetic experience we want our students to have, to be able to appreciate beauty, to hear music and not just appreciate it for 40% of what it has, but to be able to go down the aisles of that supermarket and really take more from the supermarket of music, and sometimes the crotchets and the quavers and the theory, many times that's a hindrance to them having that beautiful experience, and so, but it's yes, it's not easy. And I think that's what I love with Dalcroze, that I think it's so experiential, and just the accompaniment that goes with it is so beautiful. So it's like you can't get away. It's embedded in, it seems to be embedded in the system that you will hear beautiful music and experience it in your body, and yet understanding, what you're doing.
Yeah, well, you said we experience first, we analyze second. And so as long as we keep that, and then right away, as soon as it was funny, not everybody was here at the very, very beginning of this Zoom call before we hit record. But Nomali was looking very serious. Nomali was working, getting their PowerPoint together and looking like maybe reviewing her notes maybe or something. And I haven't met Nomali before, so I wasn't quite sure. And then as soon as the teaching began, all of a sudden there was this, amazing shift where it was all joy, and it was such easy leadership, and I just absolutely magnetic. I want to come take Nomali's class for sure. But that, so being able to bring that joy to the classroom and having that sort of be your baseline, speaks to everything. It speaks to what it means, how it is that you're able to sustain yourself as a teacher, and then of course it means what your students are going to think of as their response to you.
And especially because I think especially in Jamaica, or maybe African-based society. I think every society that's grounded in its traditional people, let's just be that general, music means so much. It means so much. It has carried people through so many traumas. It's staving off mental illness. It is taking them through life. And in Jamaica, where there's so many things that challenge people, music means so much. And sometimes when we get in the classrooms, to tell the truth, because many Jamaican musicians didn't grow up with a foundation of reading music, they are, so now, wanting to ensure that everyone can read music. And so they lose that when they go into the classroom. They want to teach everyone all the things they learned.
Wow.
And so we can't do that because it means too much to our people. It's like, what shall I say? It's a jewel, it's a pearl, it's a healing, it's a balm, it's a comfort that cannot be replaced by semi-quavers and quavers. And if we do that, we're doing a serious disservice.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always important to help my students, even as they're coming into formal, because many of them didn't receive any formal music training before. So they're so excited, but to remind them you can't, the approach when you go into the classroom has to be different. You have to maintain the magic of this for people.
That's very good. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I just need to add one more little bit, and then I got to beg other people to help us finish this out. My main crowd of students are university students who are in sort of a conservatory space. That is, they're very serious instrumentalists and vocalists heading toward, major symphony positions or opera roles or that sort of thing. So it's a very serious kind of education, and reading is central to it. Like it is the, the depth of it. And so much of what I feel I need to do with them is to try to help them not lose sight of the actual life of their music while they're working so hard to be able to read all these complex pitches and rhythms and harmonies. And so on the one hand, they really need this sort of technical eye to be able to discern this exact rhythm from this other very exact rhythm. And yet, if they don't have a way to feel it, if it isn't in the body, if they can't bring the life to it, then we all know it's just a waste. It's for nothing. And so we spend a lot of time trying to understand the difference between what it is just mere note reading and what is actually life-giving.
Oh,
we use that wording. And the Dalcroze, the Dalcroze methods are everything to try to make that come alive. We talk about what it means to be alive in our performance. And so I'm just so loving the work that you're doing. I think your priorities seem dead on. So good job. Can anybody else have anything else to comment or ask or extend? What else is in this room? I mean, I feel like I could talk to Namali for quite some time yet, but I don't want to be the only one talking. Let's go, Catherine.
Well, I would just kind of second what you said, but even more so because here I am in this culture. I learned by ear first, but it was still a very Western classical culture. And I have these kids, and that's why I love Dalcroze, is because my job seems to be to take them backward. They're only 5 and 6, and they're already kind of like, okay, what's a note and like what you said. And so I'm sort of envious of Jamaican culture that's got it the right way around and don't have to take the little kids and give them what should be their birthright, I think, So yeah, it's beautiful to see that.
Well, and it's not something we value as musicians in Jamaica. I mean, we see it as a handicap. It's like when they come in, they're like, oh my God, I can't read music. I'm a loser, and I mean, for me as a teacher too, because being formally trained is also a mindset. There's a focus, there's a discipline. And when my students come in, they don't have that discipline. So I have to be doing the opposite. I'm like, focus, be still, follow, read the music. They're like, they just want to hear it. They're like, huh? They're trying to hear it. They're trying to feel. I'm like, don't stop hearing, stop listening, stop that. Because once they hear it, they don't want, you know, so it's the opposite for me. And it means to we, you know, the personality of the person who goes through that formal instruction and still likes music is a specific personality. But in Jamaica, the personality who comes in is someone who's been playing music in their church, in their community. They're full of life, they're whatever, and you're trying to structure them and discipline them, and they're dying in that. So it's the opposite for us. It's not easy either, because we're dealing with a whole personality. But I agree with you. It's that having that, because I always think getting the notes right, getting the dynamics, but then the artistry. For you to go into artistry, that life has to come out. I mean, there has to be a point where you just throw away the notes and you're like, listen to me. Whatever I sing or do up there, it's mine and it's right. And I don't care what's on that paper anymore. You know what I mean? Now it's me. I'm going to take on the stage. You know what I mean? You have to reach that point. And if you're very formally trained, it's like, you cannot feel that way. It's like, no, 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 no. What's on the, you know, but there has to be that moment of release. So I understand. I can imagine what you're speaking about, because I know if you grew up in that, you're just so keen, you're so fixed on the score that it's hard to just release and go to that place where there's no score, there's just sound. You know, there's just sound. Yeah.
I have a question for you about that, but first I just wanted to say what Quanting wrote in the chat. She asked, where can I find more information about the Jamaican drumming and singing for children? Is there something you could recommend, Nomali?
Specifically for children, maybe not, but there are a few publications that I can recommend to you. Olive Lewin, one of our premier folk researchers, has done a lot with that, and not specifically for children though. And there is a nice little book called Mango Time that has melodies. Michael Burnett as well, he's an English educator. He spent a lot of time at the Jamaica School of Music, and he has published some things, some British publications that have arrangements of Jamaican folk songs with percussion parts. But other than that, there's not a lot, because again, because it's so oral, you might not find a lot written down.
Great. Could I maybe email you later and get those titles and we can send those out to people?
Yes, definitely.
Does someone else have a question or comment?
Sorry?
I was just wondering if someone else wants to.
Well, no point doing anything prepared and close. It's interesting to hear, you know, because sometimes I actually think like, I wonder if Jamaican kids really need Dalcroze, because like, I was like, these things they're doing in Dalcroze, you're gonna do a whole lesson on that? I mean, it's like, it's so natural to us because we're always dancing, you know, and so on. So sometimes recently I've been like, am I gonna spend a whole lesson teaching that? Maybe not. But then what I have found useful is the how being able to feel, allow them to do what they want to do, which is feel and hear, but to feel these complex notational patterns, because they're always reaching for the feeling and the hearing. It's like as soon as they hear anything, they're like, and I'm like, don't do that. Give me your eyes, give me your head. And I see them doing this. I don't know if I'm expressing it right. Like if I'm teaching someone piano, they're like, I don't know if I can express it to you, but they're going into a different zone. And I'm like, don't go into that zone. Look at the notes. Look at those notes. You know, but with Dalcroze, they're allowed to feel, they're allowed, all their little senses can go out and really feel these patterns and bring them back in. It's like Dalcroze, I think, provides a bridge for some of the more advanced, some of the advanced musical things for them. So
okay, now I have two questions. So one is, I wonder if I just went to a class here we did in the New England Dalcroze chapter. It was in person, and we worked on a song with mixed meters, and it was like 5/8, 7/8, and 8/8, and then they were strung together in all sorts of combinations. There was a really nice piece of music that we went over. But I just wonder if these kinds of adult Dalcroze topics, right? If like the kids in Jamaica would be like, oh no, we can deal with that. Like, bring on the mixed meters. And, you know, like, I just wonder if, yeah, I'm just curious what you think about that. And then my second question is the artistry of letting go of the page. I'm really interested in that moment. And I'm curious if you think it can be taught or practiced, or if it's just something that you find one day.
God, I couldn't even tell you, but I think any posture can be cultivated or nurtured. You know, any posture. Of course, if you have held a posture for years, it's easier for you. Because, for instance, when I'm speaking to my students and I'm speaking to them about reading music and sight reading, I'm saying you have to calm down. Just calm down. Just be calm. Just allow your mind to follow the page. And it's a posture. And they find it impossible to get into that posture sometimes. But they can, you know, but maybe, no, with the whole thing of letting go, I think it can be cultivated, because I know one of the mindsets that I heard when I heard one of these gospel artists speaking to like a young prodigy, and she said, be generous with your gift. It's about love. So like, you know, if you go on stage and it's about how good do I sound, and am I getting this right, and am I getting that wrong? But if it's about being generous, if it's about love, if it's about blessing people. Like for me, a lot of the music I did was in church. First, you know, Eastern meditation and then Christianity. And so once you're a church musician, there's always something bigger. So you can't be the star. So there's always something else you're pulling on. And it's the purpose is always a blessing. So once your mindset is one of blessing, then I don't know if that helps with the page, but it just helps with a different posture that allows you to release a little more, I think. When you're focused on blessing people, you know, with whatever, you know, I think it helps a little. But yeah, I think it would be a little difficult. But I think, of course, I think it can be cultivated.
I think so too. I think the way we word that in my teaching is we say it's a very early lesson with 20-year-olds. One of the first times that we get to meet them, we say, well, you know, you realize, of course, there is no music in your cello. There is no music in your flute. There is no music in that piano over there. The music is in you. It's in your first body, your first instrument. It's in you. And the only reason you have a cello is to share. So when I hear you say blessing, which seems to me perfectly appropriate at the church, if I want to talk about the concert stage, I think blessing the audience is the equivalent of sharing something with the audience. I'm here to share something that I believe I know deeply in me, and I'm going to share that with you, which is very different than I'm gonna stand up here in a fancy outfit and play a lot of right notes in front of you. And so rather than the focus being on watch me be correct, if I can get these students into a mindset where they understand, no, I'm supposed to share something, and then what is it that I'm sharing? And then we get to spend, you know, time together exploring that as the point of what we're doing together. I don't know, it rings similar to the way I hear you speaking.
So I have a question for you all, though, as formally trained score reading musicians. Do you find that there's a point where you're reading the score but it disappears? Because I know in reading, like if I'm reading a book, after a while, it's like I'm watching a movie. I'm not seeing words anymore. I'm just watching a movie. Do you reach to that point as well, though, that you're reading a score, but it's not there anymore?
Yeah, I don't feel I know the piece unless that happens.
So you're heading for that. So yeah, I mean, isn't that a type of release, Veronica, would you say? Because you've gone into the score, you've gone through the score, but then you're released from the score after you've sort of mastered the score. Anyway, that's nice.
Very good. Well, we are at the hour, but Danielle, you get the last word. So.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I've never seen such joyful BAG going on recorder. That was beautiful. And also, just to your last point, like something my Dalcroze mentor, Ruth Alperson, would do, she would put a simple children's classical piece that we've never seen, and we'd start to play maybe 4 or 5 measures. She would take it away, and we had to continue in the spirit of it, you know, like, and that was a great exercise. So it helped us learn to improvise. Yeah. So
Yes,
anyway.
that is lovely.
So good. Nomali, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here and to have you present. I'm so glad that Veronica was wise enough to give you the whole time. Normally we stack up 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 people to present at once, and this was a BDM that was really outstanding to just have one and to really go deep with you. Thank you. Please, please, please come back, and we'll hopefully get you to share again, and even on times where maybe you're not sharing, just to be in the room, I think has been just wonderful to share the time with you.
Yeah.
Friends, here's another one. We did it again. It is great to see you, Sandra in Australia, Francoise in Canada, Catherine in California, Nomali in Jamaica. I'm sorry, I don't know where Kelly, Deborah, and Danielle are. So, well, Danielle's in New York and Veronica's in Boston. I'm in Pittsburgh. Deborah, since we've said them all, where are you at? Oh, Deborah's coming. Oh, you're still muted.
Okay, I'm in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada.
Excellent. And Kelly, where are you?
I'm in Canada also. I'm about an hour from Toronto.
Wonderful. Well, this is quite the distance to get everybody together. Thank you all so much for being here. Nomali, thank you again. Veronica, thank you for all the organizing for tonight. And I'm going to stop the recording.